Welcome the rare gems. When you've been let down by the surface too many times, you stop looking for depth in shallow places. There's a point where something just clicks, not out of bitterness, but out of sheer exhaustion. Sigma females don't wake up one day and decide to detach from humanity. It happens slowly, piece by piece, moment by moment. It's the result of watching people choose appearance over truth, comfort over growth, and manipulation over honesty. And when you've experienced that enough times, your tolerance for the fake and superficial disappears. If you're someone who sees too much, feels deeply, questions what others accept, and keeps finding yourself alone in crowded rooms, you're not broken, you're not too much. You're likely a Sigma female. You don't want followers. You don't want noise. You just want something real. And the world rarely offers that without a price. You've been loyal without limits, honest without filters, and open without games, but instead of being met with the same energy, you've been drained, misunderstood, or worse, used. So you backed away. You learned to protect your peace the same way others protect their image. And that is strength. That is clarity. That is who you are. This isn't about giving up on people. It's about choosing not to lose yourself in the process of trying to understand them. The world may call it isolation. You know better. It's self-preservation. It's your reset. And it just might be the beginning of your most powerful chapter yet. Let's get started. The rare gems. Number 1. They realized empathy doesn't make you safe. It makes you a target. At one point, empathy was her gift, her strength. Sigma females believed that if they could just understand people better, connect on a deeper level, offer grace instead of judgment, the world would respond with the same. But it didn't. What they found instead was a brutal truth. The more empathy they gave, the more some people took, not with gratitude, but with greed. That open heart became an open door for manipulation. Their patience got mistaken for permission. Their forgiveness got twisted into weakness. Their ability to feel what others couldn't became the very thing others weaponized against them. And the hardest part? It wasn't strangers. It was people they trusted. People who cried to them, leaned on them, said all the right things, and still drained them dry. So the Sigma female did something unexpected. She stopped offering unlimited access to her empathy. Not because she stopped caring, but because she realized that caring doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it exposes you. Sometimes it invites people who never had good intentions to begin with. She learned that not everyone deserves to be understood. Some people want chaos, and the more you try to understand it, the more you get pulled into it. So she built emotional boundaries. She started reading between the lines instead of giving the benefit of the doubt. She stopped explaining herself to people who were never listening in the first place. This wasn't the death of her empathy. It was the rebirth of her self-respect. She still feels deeply, but now with direction. She still understands people, but she no longer sacrifices herself to do it. Because if empathy makes you a target, wisdom teaches you how to aim it. And a Sigma female never stops feeling. She just learns where to place those feelings so they can't be used against her again. Number 2. Depth is viewed as damage, not power. There's a quiet ache that comes with being a deep woman in a world obsessed with simplicity. Sigma females feel this constantly. They carry layers, thoughts that spiral inward, emotions that don't fit into boxes, life experiences that can't be reduced to quotes or cliches. But when they finally open up and let someone in, the reaction is rarely what they expect. People don't hear wisdom. They hear wounds. They don't see strength. They see something that needs fixing. Society has conditioned people to look for clean stories, easy-to-digest characters. You're either strong and unbothered or struggling and damaged. There's no space in between. So when a Sigma female speaks about pain, reflection, or hard-earned lessons, people assume she's broken. They think she's stuck when she's actually grown past what they could ever handle. Her depth gets mistaken for heaviness. Her complexity gets confused with chaos. And because she doesn't laugh just to be liked or fake lightness to make others comfortable, she's often called too intense or too much. But the truth is, most people are scared of what they don't understand. They haven't done the inner work, so they don't recognize what healing actually looks like. To them, Silence means emptiness. Stillness means sadness. Depth means damage. What they miss is this. Sigma females don't carry their stories like burdens. They wear them like armor. They're not bleeding. They've already healed. What remains is the scar, the memory, the wisdom. So instead of trying to be seen, they retreat. They stop explaining. Because if the world insists on oversimplifying them, they'd rather be misunderstood than misrepresented. Their depth is not a weakness. It's a map, one that only the brave can follow. And if someone can't see the power in that, they were never meant to walk beside her in the first place. Number 3, being different attracts parasites, not peers. There's a quiet cost that comes with being different. Sigma females don't try to stand out, they just are. The way they think, the way they move, the way they see through life's nonsense. It's not for show, it's built into them. But instead of attracting genuine connection, this difference often pulls in the wrong kind of attention. People become fascinated, not because they want to understand, but because they want a piece of it. Some want to be around her just to feel interesting by association. Others try to copy her energy, her style, even her way of thinking, hoping it will make them feel powerful too. It doesn't. Sigma females can feel it. The subtle draining, the way conversations feel one-sided, the way their ideas get recycled without credit, the way people cling to them during storms but vanish once the sky's clear. These aren't peers, they're emotional parasites, drawn to the glow but unwilling to give anything back. Even admiration can turn toxic. People begin to project fantasies onto them, expecting them to play a role, to always be strong, always wise, always available. And the moment they act human, quiet, tired, needing space, the same people turn cold or disappointed. True connection is rare for Sigma females because most people don't come to connect. They come to consume. And when she finally sees it for what it is, she pulls away. Not bitter, just done. She stops explaining, stops giving access, starts protecting her energy like it's sacred because it is. Being different isn't a gift if it's constantly exploited. It's only powerful when it's placed in the right hands. And Sigma females are learning to stop handing it out so freely. Because the right ones won't drain you. They'll match you. And until then, solitude is peace, not punishment. Number 4. They see the scripts everyone is following. There's a point where everything starts to look scripted. The smiles, the conversations, even the outrage. Sigma females don't just interact with people. They observe. They study patterns. They listen beyond the words. And they notice how often people move on autopilot, saying the right things because they've heard them somewhere, not because they believe them. They see the kindness that's only shown when someone's watching. The deep quotes copied and pasted with no real connection to the meaning. The sudden interest in causes that were ignored until they became popular online. They watch people shape-shift depending on who they're talking to, trying to fit into whatever trend or moral wave is current that week. At first it's just disappointing, but after a while it becomes exhausting. Conversations feel rehearsed, social media feels like a theater, and even real-life interactions start sounding like scenes from a bad script. Sigma females don't hate people for playing these roles. They just can't join the act. They crave originality, real thoughts, real feelings. But in a world that rewards performance over presence, it's rare. So instead of forcing it, they take a step back. They stop clapping for things that feel fake. They stop entertaining what doesn't move them. They go quiet, not out of judgment, but out of hunger for something real. They'd rather sit alone with silence than surround themselves with noise that's pretending to be meaning. Because once you've seen the script, it's hard to unsee it. And once you've tasted truth, no performance can fill you. Sigma females aren't looking to rebel. They just want what's real. And if that makes them the odd one out, so be it. At least they're not reading lines. They're living from a place that can't be staged. And that's what sets them apart. Number 5. People love the mask, not the soul. There comes a point when a Sigma female starts to notice something that quietly shifts the way she moves through life. It's subtle at first. People smile at her, compliment her, even pull closer. But not because they truly see her. They're drawn to the idea of her. The image, the mystery, the way she carries herself, but not the soul behind the silence. What she quickly figures out is this: the world is captivated by what looks good, not by what is good. Society has trained people to respond to packaging, to smooth words, to flawless photos. But the real substance, the raw truth, the emotional honesty, that makes people uncomfortable. Sigma females feel everything deeply. They ask real questions. They crave real answers. They don't laugh just to be polite, and they don't say what's expected. That kind of depth doesn't just make people pause, it makes them pull back. Why? Because truth requires effort. It requires facing parts of ourselves most would rather leave untouched. So while others are playing the game of perception, chasing likes, appearances, attention, she's quietly watching it all, unimpressed. She knows how easy it is to fake depth in a world that rewards style over substance. She's been in rooms full of smiles and still felt completely alone, because no one was really there. This is why Sigma females eventually detach. Not because they've stopped caring, but because they've learned most people don't actually want to know who you are. They want a version that entertains them, that flatters them, that doesn't ask too many questions. And that's not something a Sigma female can offer. She's not a mask. She's not a mirror. She's a soul that sees, feels, and remembers. So when people only come for the image, she lets them leave with it. The real her? That's reserved for the rare few who know the difference between the costume and the core. Number 6. Emotional intelligence is treated as a threat. There's something powerful about a woman who doesn't just feel emotions but understands them. Not just her own, but everyone's around her. She can walk into a moment and read the tension in the air before a single word is spoken. She picks up on the fake smiles, the forced laughter, the slight shift in someone's tone. She notices the pause that didn't belong there, the excitement that was a little too rehearsed, the silence that wasn't peaceful. This is the kind of emotional intelligence Sigma females carry. They don't guess, they sense. They don't react to the surface, they wait, they watch, they know. But the truth is, most people aren't ready for that kind of clarity. Instead of being appreciated for their insight, Sigma females often get pushed aside. People start to feel exposed, uncomfortable, sometimes even angry. Because being around someone who sees right through the mask forces you to face things you've worked hard to avoid. It's easier for people to label her as intimidating or cold than to admit she sees too much. Her ability to understand what others are really feeling is not welcomed with curiosity. It's met with resistance. They don't want to be read like that. They don't want to be seen without filters. And over time, she learns to hold that emotional insight close. Not because she's unsure of it, but because she knows most people don't want the truth. They want approval. They want comfort. They want blind eyes and polite nods. But Sigma females can't unsee what they see, and they won't pretend just to make others feel safe in their illusions. That's what makes their emotional intelligence so rare and so threatening. They're not trying to control anyone. They're just not interested in being part of the performance. That alone is enough to make some people feel exposed without her ever saying a word. Number 7. Truth sounds like attitude to the insecure. There's a certain sharpness that comes with clarity. Sigma females don't play games with words. They say what they mean. They don't speak to impress or tiptoe around fragile egos. They speak to be clear, to be real. But in a world where everyone's used to fluff and filters, their truth cuts a little too deep. People don't know what to do with a woman who isn't afraid to name what everyone else avoids. Who can say, this isn't working without dressing it up? Who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, not to hurt you, but because lies are heavier in the long run? But the insecure, they hear this and flinch, not because she's being rude, but because her honesty forces them to face what they're trying to ignore. It's easier to accuse her of being too much or too blunt than to admit that her words are striking a nerve. Over time, Sigma females grow tired of this reaction. They don't enjoy being misunderstood. They don't take pride in making people uncomfortable. But they won't water themselves down just to be more digestible. They've seen what happens when people lie to keep the peace. Nothing grows, nothing heals, nothing changes. So they choose truth. even if it costs them relationships, popularity, or comfort. They understand that honesty is not a weapon, it's a mirror. And if someone can't handle their reflection, that says more about them than it ever will about her. To the insecure, truth sounds like attitude. But to those who've done the work, it sounds like freedom. And that's who she speaks for. The ones who are done pretending. The ones who would rather face the fire than live inside a lie. That's the Sigma female's language, raw, grounded, and unapologetically real. Number 8. Being different attracts parasites, not peers. There's a quiet cost that comes with being different. Sigma females don't try to stand out, they just are. The way they think, the way they move, the way they see through life's nonsense. It's not for show, it's built into them. But instead of attracting genuine connection, this difference often pulls in the wrong kind of attention. People become fascinated. Not because they want to understand, but because they want a piece of it. Some want to be around her just to feel interesting by association. Others try to copy her energy, her style, even her way of thinking, hoping it will make them feel powerful too. It doesn't. Sigma females can feel it. The subtle draining. The way conversations feel one-sided. The way their ideas get recycled without credit. The way people cling to them during storms but vanish once the sky's clear. These aren't peers. They're emotional parasites, drawn to the glow but unwilling to give anything back. Even admiration can turn toxic. People begin to project fantasies onto them, expecting them to play a role, to always be strong, always wise, always available. And the moment they act human, quiet, tired, needing space, the same people turn cold or disappointed. True connection is rare for Sigma females because most people don't come to connect. They come to consume. And when she finally sees it for what it is, she pulls away, not bitter, just done. She stops explaining, stops giving access, starts protecting her energy like it's sacred because it is. Being different isn't a gift if it's constantly exploited. It's only powerful when it's placed in the right hands, and Sigma females are learning to stop handing it out so freely. Because the right ones won't drain you, they'll match you. And until then, solitude is peace, not punishment. Number 9. The good ones still come with hidden agendas. One of the hardest truths a Sigma female has to swallow is this. Even the ones who seem kind, sincere, and genuine often come with strings attached. At first it feels like relief, like maybe this time she's found someone real, someone who sees her without needing to take anything, but eventually the mask slips. It always does, because even the good ones tend to want something. Sometimes it's subtle, a need for validation, a desire to be near her strength so they can feel stronger themselves. Other times it's more calculated, wanting to be in her orbit for the access, the credibility, the shine. Sigma females don't always carry status in the traditional sense, but there's something magnetic about their presence that people try to claim for themselves. And when the Sigma female doesn't play along, when she doesn't give in to emotional control or follow the unspoken script, that's when the warmth starts to cool. That's when the praise fades. That's when the hidden disappointment shows up, and the unspoken agenda gets revealed. She's left wondering if anyone can actually show up without a reason that benefits them. Not a motive disguised as love. Not support that turns into expectation. Not interest that demands performance. Just pure presence. But the more she sees, the more she doubts if that even exists anymore. She realizes that most people aren't malicious. They're just used to conditional connection. They've been taught to trade emotions like currency, to give in order to get. But for someone who values depth over gain, that system feels hollow. So the Sigma female stops expecting purity from others. She starts relying more on her instincts and less on people's words. She becomes calm but guarded, warm but watchful. Not because she's closed off, but because she's finally learned sincerity without agenda is not common. And until it arrives, her own company is enough. Number 10. Society rewards loud mediocrity over quiet mastery. There's something deeply frustrating about giving your all to something, your time, your discipline, your mind, and then watching someone with half the skill and double the volume take all the credit. Sigma females know this feeling all too well. They've spent years working on themselves in silence, not for attention, not for applause, but because it mattered. They've refined their character, stayed grounded when others crumbled, and built real substance in a world that worships sparkle. But the sad reality? Most people don't notice depth. They notice noise. You can be brilliant, but if you don't shout it from the rooftops or package it with performance, society scrolls past you. Meanwhile, someone louder, flashier, and far less skilled becomes the center of attention. Not because they're better, but because they're better at being seen. It's disheartening. Not because Sigma females want fame, but because they want fairness. They want to believe that excellence speaks for itself. That character still counts, but the world often overlooks quiet mastery in favor of mass approval. What makes it worse is that the loud ones don't just win. They often take credit for things built on borrowed wisdom, ideas that came from someone else, phrases they don't understand, confidence without content, and yet they're the ones being praised. Still, Sigma females don't give up. They might grow quieter, more selective with what they share, but they keep building, because they know something the crowd forgets. Noise fades, trends pass, but mastery remains. They're not chasing recognition. They're building something real. And when the lights finally burn out on empty noise, what's left standing will be the ones who built in silence, the ones who were overlooked but never off course, the ones like her. Number 11. Genuine connection has been replaced with strategic networking. There was a time when friendships were built on shared moments, deep talks, and quiet loyalty. But somewhere along the way, that shifted. Now, even casual conversations feel like calculated moves. Sigma females feel it the moment they step into a space. The energy isn't connection anymore, it's commerce. Everyone's scanning for value, weighing interactions like currency, and deciding if you're worth their time. People don't talk to know you, they talk to leverage you. They're not asking how you're doing out of care, they're subtly checking if you still hold influence, relevance, or benefit to their personal brand. Sigma females see it clearly, and it turns them off completely. They're not interested in playing that game. They're not trying to collect people like trophies or use conversations to climb invisible ladders. To them, connection is sacred. It's about presence, not profit. But in today's culture, everyone seems to be pitching something, a lifestyle, a project, a personality. And if you don't participate in the trade, you're labeled boring or distant, all the wrong things. Sigma females refuse to become another brand in someone's catalog. They won't package themselves into digestible sound bites for clout. They're tired of shallow friendships that end the moment you stop being useful. They want truth, vulnerability, shared silence that doesn't need to be filled, laughter that isn't curated, people who don't treat connection like a business meeting. And until they find it, they'll keep their circle small or none at all. Because if every conversation has a hidden agenda and every connection is a strategy, then what's the point? Sigma females would rather be alone in peace than surrounded by people who treat relationships like a game. They're not networking, they're searching for something real, and they'll wait as long as it takes. In final words, sometimes it's not the world that changes you, it's the clarity that finally settles in. Sigma females aren't cold, they're not broken, they're just awake. At some point, they stopped pretending not to notice how shallow things had become, how loyalty started to mean convenience, how truth made people flinch, how connection turned into transaction. And instead of fighting to belong in a place that never truly saw them, they chose something harder, but truer. They chose distance. You're not a Sigma female because you gave up. You're a Sigma because you outgrew what others still settle for. You saw behind the masks. You felt the energy shift in rooms where words didn't match intentions. You watched people call things love that looked more like control. You realized that most people aren't trying to understand. They're trying to be right, to be liked, to be followed. And that just didn't sit right with you. So, you pulled back. Not because you wanted less, but because you wanted something real, something honest. And if that meant walking alone, you did it with your head high. You are not detached. You are refined. You don't belong everywhere because your spirit was never built to be everywhere. You are meant for moments that matter, conversations that leave marks, connections that require no performance. Never forget, stepping back from a world that doesn't value your depth isn't giving up. It's protecting your peace. And in a world that calls emptiness normal, your silence is not weakness. It's wisdom wrapped in self-respect. You are a Sigma female not because you followed a path, but because you carved one. Keep carving. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.